This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so we were talking about petty cash yesterday. In the cash journal, we understood what exactly is cash journal, how cash journal is configured, and what are the business transactions related to cash journal. And another point which we understood was cash journal entry. In short, cash GL account entries are supposed to be always automated entries from the petty cash screen. No manual entries are allowed here. Meaning, wherever you are talking about cash postings or cash receipt, cash payment, it is strictly supposed to be entered in cash journal screen only. Now what we will do, we are planning to create the first cash entry, meaning from the cash account we would like to process the vendor payment. For that what I'll do, let me open our cash journal first. To see the cash journal, T code is FBCJ and we'll see inside the FBCJ what is our current cash journal, what is the available cash balance in our petty cash. Let me log in again. And while it gets logged in, so we also need to understand opening balance, upload for cash in short, petty cash, also cash journal. Okay, if I show this the cash journal screen, this is our cash journal for company code Lenovo India and cash journal name is Petty Cash Mumbai. Currently, if you say as on today, if I click on today here, nothing is here, everything is zero, meaning we do not have any available cash with us. When there is no cash with us, you cannot practically make any payment, you cannot perform any transaction. When you have no cash, the only possible transaction is receipt. When you have no money, you can only receive the money, you cannot pay the money. Here, if you look at the cash journal screen, there are three tabs here. First one is the cash payment, second one is cash receipt, third one is check receipt. Very rarely we will be using a check receipt in the cash journal. Majoritarily, you will be working with two options. Point number one, cash payment. Point number two, cash receipt. Now, when you have zero cash, you cannot make any payment here. Whenever you're processing any payment is supposed to be to the extent of available closing balance only. If your closing balance is 200, system will not allow you to process any payment more than 200 or it will not allow you to book any expenses for more than 200. In short, system will never allow you to go negative cash balance if you are working with cash journal screen. On the other side, whenever you are processing any manual entries, there is no control. While booking the entry, the user does not know whether there is the available cash or not. They might left and right book the entries. End of the day, you may see negative cash balances in your cash book, which is not at all allowed in any organization. So what we will do before you proceed with further transaction, first thing we need to understand what is our opening cash balances, how your opening cash balance is migrated into SAP. For that, we need to create a transaction type. Let's go to cash receipt because whenever you're talking about any opening balances, you will always have positive cash balance only. I would say that we had somewhere around 10,000 cash. 10,000 available cash means 10,000 positive balance in the trial balance. Positive balance means a debit balance. Debit to cash account is receipt. Credited to cash account is a payment. In short, it is working based on the real account concept. Debit what comes in, credit what goes out. Whenever you receive, cash is coming in. Whenever you process any payment, whenever you spend any expenses, cash is going out. Look at the cash account from the real account perspective. Debit what comes in, credit what goes out. If money is received in cash, you go to cash receipt, input the GL account, the source in the sense, if you received through sale, you put sales account. If you received from some customer, put customer account, because cash account is defaulted by cash journal screen. Cash account is defaulted by cash journal screen. You do not have to input cash GL account here. Based on the cash journal code 1001 or any other number, GL account is automatically determined by the system. Okay. Now, next thing what we will do for us to load the opening balances, if you go to cash receipt, business transaction, open the drop down. If you find this, there is something called some transactions are here, but nothing specifically related to data migration, nothing specifically related to opening balance upload. Now we need to understand how I need to put opening balance upload. Point number one, we understood there is nothing called cash credit balance or cash negative balance in petty cash or in cash journal. So your business transaction for opening balance is similar to cash receipt. So point number one, you can use this cash receipt. Point number two, you can use cash deposit. Both can be used because in both the situations you can put receipt or credit debit entry in cash account. What I'll do, I'll go to a screen where petty cash entries are configured. Open a new screen. Key code was, I'll say FBCJC2. If I go to FBCJC2, something related to cash deposit. I'll take example of this. Let me make a copy of it. This will be your company code. This will be same. And I am going to place here opening cash balance. If I put this here and I press enter, this is what it is updated. Now it is talking about opening a cash balance. If you want, you can put opening cash balance upload. Here also you can put opening cash balance upload. I'll click on save. Continue. Now this is what is uploaded. Go back. First point what I'll do, I'll go to my GL account balance report FAGLB03 121 ending with 1. This one. This is the account. And for current fiscal year 2024, if I try to look at the GL account balance here, it is telling no data found for fiscal year 2024, meaning there is no account balance for the current year 2024. Agreed, because there are no entries posted so far. Next, what is our target? Our target is to load opening a cash balance of 10,000. I'll say opening a cash is equal to 10,000 INR. Now we are all aware to post opening a cash balances, you need to use technical accounts or takeover account. If I go to FS00, we have already created a takeover accounts previously during our initial sessions. I say that TB takeover account. This account is something which you are going to use for bringing opening cash balances into SAP at the same time into a trial balance. What I'll do, I'll go to cash journal screen. I'll minimize it. Let me try to press enter one time. Open the drop down, business transaction, press enter. Now you can see opening cash balance upload. I'll select this opening a cash balance upload. Now you need to decide on what date you're uploading the cash balances. Assuming your project is going live in the month of March. If your project is going live in the month of March, this opening balance is related to last month. If your project is going live in current month, your opening balance of cash is related to last month. Last month means February. February means I click on this current period. So it's not allowing. What I'll do, I'll close this. Let me come out. FBCJ again. First I'll set the date. I'll put current period. This is giving full range of this month. I'll click on previous period. This is previous period. I would like to upload the balances on the last day of the previous month because your TB is received for February month. February month TB is prepared for 29th February 2024. Here you're talking about cash receipt. Open the business transaction, enter. pick up opening a cash balance upload, amount your 10,000, GL account you'll have to put this one. Let me open the drop down. I want 8 series GL account. In the account number I put 8 star. It will give all the GL accounts which are starting from 8 series if you put 8 star. Double click on this GL account. If you look at, I'm not giving cash account anywhere because cash account is automatically taken by the system. Enter. Next one. It is saying that you cannot use cash account accounting transaction type payment here. Why it is telling you cannot use cash accounting type payment here? Because the transaction whatever we created incorrectly. Meaning if you come back and then verify again, FBCJC2, opening a cash balance upload. If I go to LEIN, now opening a cash balance upload. Here what did we take? We took B. If I open the drop down, if I look at B, B is basically payment. B is basically payment. We've created underpayment. And now what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to record under receipt. Now payment transaction is not allowed in receipt. Receipt transaction is not allowed in payment. You have those standard control points, standard checkpoints, standard validations in SAP. Now what we need to understand from this message, you have to be very conscious. Whenever you are setting up the system, whenever you're adding any new entries, you have to think at every stage, you have to think at every level what I am doing, how system is controlling, because tomorrow your client will ask similar question. Can I put opening balance as payment also if this is supposed to be credit, or if this is supposed to be debit, can I put it as credit? No, you cannot put it because system is verifying it. And if they put these kind of questions, you will have to put an entry like this, show this is how system validates. Then they say that okay, this is fine. Now what I will do, I'll come here, B is supposed to be wrong and it is supposed to be C. Now I can edit this still. I'll make this a C. I'll press enter, click on save. I have saved it now. Come back. Now come to the same cash journal screen, press enter one time. Open the business transaction. I am on the cash receipt. Opening balance upload. Same thing, press enter. If you see now it has accepted. It has accepted now. And the first transaction is this. Amount I have put 10,000. Now it is giving a red indicator. Red indicator means entry recorded, not saved. Until you save the transaction, balances will not get reflected here. Until you save the transaction, balances will not get reflected in the cash journal screen. And until you post, balances will not reflect in the GL account level. Cash journal will get updated when you save. GL account will get updated when you post. So you have 3 stages here. You have red light, you have yellow light, you have green light. Red light will only update the data. Now your yellow light will update your petty cash balances. Green light will update petty cash GL account balance. Now 10,000 I've put. Profit center I'll have to put LEIN 01. Segment is not required. Posting date is this. Net amount. And if you want to put any other comment or any other text, you can put it here. I'll say opening cash upload. Copy this, and if you would like to put this anywhere else, you can write this. Text also I'll put this. Enter. Then I'll select this transaction. I'll click on save here. Now you will find 2 functions here. You will find 2 options here. One is save, other one is post. In some organizations, they want to use a concept called maker checker. When I say maker checker concept, user who is working on the petty cash is only allowed to save the entry. the person who is working on above the petty cashier or above the cashier will verify and then will post the entry. In such a situation, your client will be opting for maker checker concept. In such a situation, you will be using park and post functionality. It is similar to save and post. One user is only allowed to save the cash entry. Another user is supposed to verify the cash entry, post the cash entry. Assuming now I am the maker. Maker is nothing but I am the one who is entering the data in system. I am the one who is actually initiating or performing the transaction. I did this. I click on save. Enter. When I click on save, it has become yellow, and on the top if you see, total cash receipt is updated with 10,000. Number 1 because there is a one transaction. If you put second transaction, it will show number 2. And immediately it is giving a closing cash. Formula is here only, opening balance plus cash receipt plus cash check receipt minus cash payment. You don't need to worry about it. Everything is in front of you only. It's all on us how we are looking at the system, how we are understanding what entries are performed and how system is triggering or how system is converting the number. 10,000 is your cash balances. Now I can see in the petty cash screen 10,000 closing balance. In the petty cash screen I can see 10,000. I'll come here. Okay, I'll click on execute icon here in the GL report. Still there is no data. Still there is no data because this is not yet posted. Still no data because this is not yet posted. How I am telling that this is not yet posted? Based on the document status. If you look at the document status, it is supposed to be green indicator. If it is a green indicator, you will represent that this entry is posted. Posted entry will have an impact in the accounting. Meaning, if you remember, while we were doing the configuration, we were maintaining two document number ranges. First document number range which we created was for accounting document number range in FBN1. Second number range which was created for the petty cash or for the cash journal was to create petty cash document number. Reason, whenever you save a document, whenever you save a petty cash document, system will allot an internal document number. For that purpose, it will allot a number. If you scroll right side, let's see if there is any number allotted for this. You can see document internal number is 1. This is internal number because this is not yet saved. The moment you save it, it will allot the actual document number. Now once you verify that everything is fine, the person who is supposed to post it will check the transaction. Because even if something is wrong here, you can still select this, click on this icon, delete. There is something called delete. This delete works in two ways. If the transaction status is saved, delete will delete the data. If the transaction status is posted, delete will reverse the transaction. This delete icon functionality is based on the posting status. If the document status is saved, delete icon will delete the transaction. If the document status is posted, delete icon will reverse the transaction. So what delete icon is going to perform is purely depend on what is the status of your document. Don't try to by heart everything. Try to understand what is actually happening, in which situation how system is behaving. Now assume that everything is fine. I am going to save it. I'll click on this. You'll have to select the transaction. Come down, click on post. When I click on post, you will see that now this has turned green. Entry posted in general ledger and cash journal both. Once you see this green, come back to your cash GL report. If you verify the balance again, we are expecting 10,000 debit balance here. You can see 10,000 debit balance here. If you double click on 10,000, it will take you to the detailed transaction level. This is the transaction, and you can see the GL account document number 10125. 10125. Now select this document, click on display. Select the document, click on display. Go to header part, display document header. Display document header. Now if you see here, if you see here, you will find reference key here. In the reference key, you will find the key information, meaning we understood that document number range is 10 digit. Okay, this is your 10 digit. 6 digit we were using to make it a 10 digit, 4 digits are short. These 4 digits are replaced by 4 leading zeros in SAP. So 00001, all zeros is your your cash journal document number, followed by 1001 is your cash journal code. 1001 is your cash journal code. LEIN is your company. Meaning this is clearly giving document number, cash journal number, company code. And if you double click on this reference key, straight away it will open the transaction. If you double click on that reference key, straight away it will open the transaction. Go back. Close this pop-up, and on the same screen go to environment on the top. If you go to environment and if you go to document environment, you will find something called accounting document. If you click on accounting document, this is giving only direct document, no pop-up is coming. When you get no pop-up, meaning this has updated only accounting, only FI part. If it has updated CO part, any other module part, you will get a pop-up similar to this. The way you are getting a pop-up, similarly you will get a pop-up showing accounting document, controlling document, profitability document and all. Now here nothing as such is coming, meaning this document has updated transaction only in the FI module. Come back. Now if I look at this, my cash closing balance is 10,000 here. My cash closing balance is 10,000, and my petty cash, if I come to petty cash, my petty cash closing balance is also 10,000. These are supposed to be the same. If these balances are not matching, then your cash reconciliation is not working fine. This is something daily activity in any organization. Next, what I will do here is, now we have cash of 10,000. Now we are good to make any process, any payment of cash. You are good to spend your cash because you have available cash balance now. How did we bring this? With the help of opening balance upload. In short, this is one of your data migration cutover activity whenever you are working in any implementation or the rollout project. Next thing what I'll do, I'll try to process the vendor payment because we were supposed to process vendor payment. That is why we came to cash journal. Now before I process vendor payment, I'll open vendor line item report FBL1N. This is my vendor account number. Execute. If I execute this vendor account, I have 3 transactions. One transaction for 100, one for 500, one for another 500. Now if you look at it, for the first transaction, for the second transaction, it is related to invoice reference combination. When I say invoice reference combination, we have updated. Thus 100 is updated as a credit memo in vendor account to adjust invoice number 19 all zeros, wherein 500 credit is there. This debit of 100 to be adjusted with this, and then net amount of only 400 to be processed to be paid to vendor. Assuming I am trying to process this payment only, first one, I am trying to process first payment wherein cash payment of 400 to be settled with vendor. Now how I am going to do here is, or simply what I'll say, I try to process the payment of last invoice 19 all zeros 1, wherein I will process 500 payment. Now to process vendor payment, I come to cash journal screen. In cash journal screen, go to cash payment tab. Go to payment tab. When you are processing the payment, I am processing the payment today. But before I process the payment today, I need to look at current date cash transaction, current day's cash balance. Currently, this is displaying 10,000 as on 29th February 2024. To come to current date, click on today here. When I click on today, automatically it is showing something called opening balance. It is automatically showing opening balance because previous day closing balance is becoming current day, previous day closing balance is automatically becoming current day's opening balance. That is what system is automatically showing. I need to record my transactions here. Closing balance will get automatically updated. Now what we are planning to do, we are planning to issue cash payment to supplier. Come to cash payment tab, open the business transaction, pull up the list. Look at where is your cash payment to vendor. Here it is your vendor cash payment. Select vendor cash payment. Amount I would like to pay 500. Now I'll have to give vendor cash payment. Supplier account I'll have to give. Let me come to supplier account. I'll copy the supplier account number 5 all zeros 2. 5 followed by this all zeros 2. This is the supplier account which I am selecting here. And if I go right side, posting date is by default this date, but if you want you can change, but ideally this is not recommended. Posting date is always supposed to be the cash journal date only. If you are posting entries today, cash is always subject to daily reconciliation. Today I am not supposed to enter a cash transaction of yesterday's date. That is not allowed. And other things, you'll have to input profit center here. Where is profit center? I'll put LEIN01, enter. This is what I have given. By default we know that this is red. Select this, click on save. So the moment I save it, my cash balance is reduced with 500. Closing balance is automatically 9,500. Cash payment, it is showing 500. One number means one payment entry is recorded. And if I go to my cash balance, currently it is 10,000. Go back, execute once again. This is still 10,000, meaning your petty cash is showing a 9,500, but cash GL is showing a 10,000. Reason, this is not yet posted. The only reason is this is updated and saved but yet to be posted. How this will be posted? The authorized person will verify the transaction and then he will approve it. He will approve it, nothing but he will select the entry, he'll come, click on post. When he is clicking on post, entry status turns green. Cash balance is 9,500. If you look at cash GL account balance, currently 10,000, this is supposed to be 9,500. There is no point of mismatch, there is no point of deviation here. If you see February month, closing balance is 10,000. February month closing balance is 10,000. March month closing balance is negative 500 because this is your March closing balance. This is March for the month closing balance. This is March cumulative closing balance. This is your for the month balance. This is your year to date or YTD balance. How you are looking at the number, how you are understanding the number, you need to understand. Just now we've told there is nothing called cash negative balance, but you can see cash negative balance here. But system is always verifying overall closing balance of the cash, not individual closing balance. Not individual closing balance, meaning this is your balance sheet account. Balance sheet account will always have carry forward functionality from current year to next year. First point. Second point, during the year or within the year, every account will have carry forward balance, meaning all your P&Ls will be carry forwarded from first month to last month, but only balance sheet accounts from first month to last month plus from this year to next year balances will get carry forwarded. Now here your closing balance is nothing but this. You need to understand when to see this, when to see this. And if you look at this, total is 9,500. If you look at this, total is 9,500, meaning balances, why it is appearing, on what basis it is calculating. Slowly you have to start understanding. This is matching after processing the 500 payment. After processing the 500 payment, our vendor liability is supposed to be 400 only now. Our vendor liability is supposed to be 400. When we say vendor liability is supposed to be 400, if I refresh the report, I am assuming that I have processed the payment against invoice number 191. Against invoice number 19001. Now, if I refresh the report, I am expecting 2 points here. Point number one, my supplier liability, my vendor outstanding to be updated as 400 from 500, and this invoice should no longer be appearing as open item. Invoice number 19 all zeros 1 should no longer appear as open item because this is already paid. You have already given cash payment to supplier for invoice number 19 all zeros 1. Now you don't want this invoice to appear as open or as outstanding in the vendor account, because if it is still appearing as outstanding, there may be a chance another user or you may process duplicate payment here. There is a possibility of duplicate payment which is not supposed to happen. Now what I'll do here, I'll go to list on the top. Please go on mute others. Who says Raghu, can you go on mute?
Sir, what will be the entry, sir, in this scenario? Vendor account data to cash account, right, sir?
Yeah, I'll pull that entry now. So I'm going to refresh the vendor line item report now. The two expectations are: point number one, vendor outstanding to become 400, 500 to be eliminated. Point number two, this invoice number 1901 is no longer supposed to be open. I'll go to list on the top. Let me refresh. If I go to list, if I refresh, system is giving 500, but KZD document type. It is giving 500 KZD document type, meaning it is updating the payment document in the vendor account as open debit. There is an open debit of 500. There is an open credit of 500. Net of this debit 500, credit 500 is 0. That is why net impact in your vendor account or net closing balance of your vendor account has become 400 from 900. But now this is not ideal one. When I say this is not ideal one, this is not what you are expecting. This is not what you are expecting. Now remember, when you are processing the cash payment to the vendor, nowhere system asked us for which invoice you are processing the payment. System did not ask us anywhere for which invoice you are processing the payment. In the previous simulation, whatever we did in the last session, when you are trying to process the bank account payment, system is giving the open item list from which you can select against which invoice you are processing the payment, whether it is part payment or it is full payment. That option you did not get when you are processing the payment from the cash screen. Here, what system will do, it will always process cash payment as on account payment. You are processing the payment, you are issuing the payment to vendor, but you are not selecting for which invoice the payment is related, for which invoice payment is against. Whenever you are processing the payment to vendor or whenever you are issuing the payment to vendor, but you are not selecting any invoice in the system, these kind of payments are always unapplied payment or on account payment. These are always called as either unapplied payment or on account payment. Now your cash payment is represented as on account payment or unapplied payment. Unapplied payment is nothing but payment is processed, but this payment is not applied to any invoice. This payment is not applied to any invoice. In such case, you need to do something called vendor clearing. In such case, you need to do something called vendor clearing, meaning you have to manually connect, you have to manually link invoice document with the payment document, because both are open. Vendor payment of 500 is open, vendor invoice of 500 is also open. These are not supposed to be open. What you will do, you will connect these two manually and clear it from the vendor account. How you will do it? For that, you have to open one more screen. I'll open one more window. I'll go to F-44 here. If you go to F-44, there is something called clear vendor. Give your vendor account 5 1 2 3 4 5 2 0 2. Okay, and I wanted to clear it with today's date. Just press enter. When you press enter, this is how system is opening. You have to take the payment document number. Okay, payment document number is this. I'll double click on this amount. Now I have to take the corresponding invoice. Invoice, we were assuming that we are trying to clear 19 ending with 1. Double click on this. If you select these two, amount entered, amount assigned is 0 because you are clearing the entry within the vendor account. Open debit, open credit, you are matching off. This is nothing but you are clearing a transaction. This is nothing but clearing entry. Debit is coming from vendor account. This is the debit balance. Credit is also coming from the vendor account. This is your credit balance. Sum of debit, sum of credit is becoming 0. In case if debit and credit is not becoming 0, that is where you are going to post the balance amount as on account or post the balance as charge of differences. Now debit credit is becoming 0. I'll go to document on the top, click on simulate. When you click on simulate, you can find an accounting entry where debit, credit both are the same. Now these points is what you have to slowly understand how system is posting these entries and what accounting entry it is bringing. Debit credit in the vendor account only. I'll put clearing. I'll say cash payment clearing. You can put any descriptions here. Cash payment clearing. I'll click on save. Now entry is posted. After posting this entry, if I come here, if I do the refresh, here, I'm not supposed to expect 4 line items here. I'm expecting only 2 line items here. One is credit memo of 100, 2 is invoice of 500, net amount should be only 400. I'll go to list, click on refresh. Now 4 line items have now become 2 line items. The open payment of cash 500, open invoice of 500 are knocked off and then they are removed. Now when they are removed here, where did they go? If you go back, you will find another option called clearing item. Pick up this cleared item, click on execute. If you click on execute on the clearing item, you will find this here. You had actually posted only 2 entries, but why system is showing you 4 entries? You need to slowly start understanding how exactly entries are coming, how you will understand vendor reports. There is something called SOA or statement of account. If your user is taking vendor statement of account, if they are not able to understand what exactly is happening, they will be reaching out to you as a FICO consultant. As a FICO consultant, you need to make them understand how this report is coming, why 4 line items are coming and all. If you look at this, document number 26, meaning these 2 line items are same. Document number 15 ending with 0, different document. Document number ending with 1901 is a different document number. Here, you need to understand how I will connect these transactions. One is my vendor invoice, 500 is vendor invoice, agreed. Second one is your vendor payment. This is also agreed, but these two are not connected to each other. Connection between invoice, payment is established or enabled in the document type called SU, which is your clearing document. These connections you will be able to understand. If you scroll right side, you have a field called invoice reference. Invoice reference will give you some indications. If you are unable to get what is actually happening with the help of invoice reference, next thing you'll have to refer is your clearing document. If you see here, there is something called a clearing document. Everywhere it is the same thing. 101, all zeros 26. If you come here, this document is posted with the help of these 4 line items. In the upcoming documents, in the upcoming transactions, you will understand it practically. Now, this is what you need to remember. Next thing, if I go to cash entry, I'll go to cash journal now. From the cash journal, this is the payment document which we posted. From this payment document, what needs to be done? I wanted to display this payment document. What I'll do? I will select this payment document, this particular line. Down below you have follow on document. If I click on follow on document, this will directly open my accounting entry. Here accounting entry is nothing but cash account, cash account is on the credit side, vendor account is on the debit side. Now if you look at, for cash account there is no profit center. If you look at, for cash account there is no profit center, but if I try to click on general ledger view, cash account is receiving the profit center. If I click on this, cash account is receiving profit center because whenever you are entering the cash transaction, the line item whatever you have given here, where is it? The line item whatever you have given here is vendor. This line item is vendor. In this line item we have given profit center. If you remember, for this line item you have given profit center. Here is the profit center. That is the reason when you display the document, because cash account cannot be entered manually. Cash account cannot be entered manually. It is updated by the system automatically. What is happening? Profit center you are giving, but this profit center is against vendor line, not against the cash line. From vendor line, it is taking the profit center to the cash account, and that cash account profit center you are able to see in the general ledger view of the document. Entry view, profit center is applicable on the vendor account. General ledger view, from vendor account it is going back to your cash account, wherein debit credit both profit centers are visible. This is your internal document number. Whatever the cash journal document numbers that we created in FBCJC1, this is that document number which we have created. Okay, now if you wanted to print this cash journal, at the end of the day, normally what will happen, if you have processed any payment, if you received any cash collection from the any customer, you need to give a receipt, right? Cash receipt from so and so person, so and so amount is collected or so and so amount is paid. For that one, you have to select the individual transaction. Down below there is something called receipt, print receipt. If you click on print receipt, you will get a form, you will get a format. This is fine. Just ignore the information, press enter. Output device, whenever system is asking output device, in SAP always LP01 even in your project. Wherever system is asking output device, blindly put LP01 in capital letters. Click on continue. Okay, this is how I am getting the information. This is your receipt confirmation. Now this format you will have to design with the help of ABAP consultant. There is something called RISEF object. There is something called RISEF object. In the RISEF object, this is a form. This will be part of your object F. In the RISEF object, this is part of your F. F represent form. We call it as a smart form. This is a smart form. Whenever you process any transaction, you want to take a receipt, you want to take a printout, this form will have to be updated. Here your client will give a format, but how your client will give, you need to take this sample, make a printout of it, share it with your client, and your client will tell, okay, this is the standard SAP format, and how do you want to look at the data here, and he will amend it. He will give their logo. In place of ID ES holding AG, you will put your client logo. Date, he says, okay, this is appearing fine. Heading, if they want to change, they will change. Any other information if they want to update here, which you will be updating with the help of ABAP consultant as part of your RISEF object. Functional specification will be prepared for it. Now I am coming back from it. Okay, this is your individual cash transaction receipt. Next one, at the end of the day, you have cash reconciliation. At the end of the day, when you have cash reconciliation, you need to click on this print cash journal on the top. If you click on print cash journal,
Hello?
continue. This is giving a message, variant cache DE of program cannot be imported, see long text. Okay, this is giving some message. Let us go to the T code where we updated this. FBCJC3 print program is where FBCJC3. Put FBCJC3. Our company code is LEIN. Put LEIN. I'll remove this one. It is telling this does not exist. Click on save. It is telling this report variant does not exist. Now I removed it. Let me come back to cash journal screen once again. FBCJ. I'll come here. I'll click on print cash journal. Continue. When I click on print cash journal, this is how it is appearing. It is asking opening balance text. I'll put some dot. This also I'll put some dot. And it is asking chart of account. I'll put LENO. It is telling text ID does not exist. Now I'll come back. You'll have to understand what are all this and why these are all coming. We need to slowly understand. It is telling standard text A does not exist. Okay, go back. Now come back to this one again. Whenever you are working in any project, all these things you'll have to verify. Correspondence also I'll remove it. I'll save it. Now again come here. Click on print cash journal. Enter. Same issue is coming. Go back. Now again come here. I'll remove this. I'll put this here. 20. Let me click on save. Now I'll come back here. Cash journal. Enter. Click on print cash journal. Now if I put this, I'm able to generate this. Now meaning, what is the problem? If you are not assigning the right variants, if you are not assigning the right programs, system may not work. So doesn't mean you go and Google it straight away. You have to see how other entries are updated. Accordingly, when you make minute fine tuning changes, things will work according to your requirement. But you need to see what is system doing, what values are updated there, what is your expectation, what is coming there. If you are able to relate it, automatically you can fix any problem. Now here, this is the cash journal screen which the system is showing, and here you can easily see the transactions. Closing balance is 9,500, and the same closing balance 9,500 you need to verify in the cash balance. It is supposed to be 9,500. If these two are matching, your cash reconciliation is fine. If these two are matching, your cash reconciliation is fine. You should make sure the status is green for everything, because status green is representing posted, status yellow is representing saved, status into representing reversed. Once you take this out, you'll have to take opening balance is 10,000, closing balance is 9,500. Here you will get detailed cash transaction. If you expand this, you will get the details here. And here the person whoever has prepared it, they will put a signature. The person who checked it and who confirmed it, they'll put a sign. It will be a physical documentation, physical reconciliation document in most of the organizations, because they need to make sure there are no balances mismatching with the cash. And even if your auditors are verifying it tomorrow, you have to show a proof how your cash reconciliations are happening, who will verify the cash, what is the proof that cash balances were matching, somebody verified it. Then you will take these printouts, you will put a signatures. Okay, this is your cash journal printout. And similarly, if you wanted to process any expenses, straight away you can book any expense here. Now I'll open cash transaction. I'll pick expenses here. Cash payment. Let's say 100. GL account I'll open. I wanted to pick one expense account. Expense begins from 4. I'll put 4 star. Enter. Let's say I would like to pay rental expense. So rent paid by cash. Same thing I'll put here. 100. I'll have to make sure if this is a cost element, give cost center. If not, give profit center only. I'll put profit center only, because this is not a cost element. I'll select this. Either you can click on save and then you can click on post, or directly you can click on post. I'm directly clicking on post. Okay, this is posted. After posting, immediately 9,500 had become 9,400. And if you go to cash balance report, this also should become 9,500 to 9,400. If you look at, this has also become 9,400, meaning how your balances are getting updated, how these are getting affected in your petty cash, in your vendor account, you have to parallelly understand. In short, this is related to your cash payment, cash expense booking with respect to vendor. Here what we understood, whenever you process any cash payment to vendor, it is always called on account payment or open account payment. So I'll put cash payment to vendor is always treated as on account or open account or unapplied payment. Whenever you process any cash payment to vendor, you call that cash payment which is paid through petty cash is always represented as on account payment, open account payment or unapplied payment. Either of these three things is one and the same meaning. Different based on the client, based on the project, based on the user, they may be using different terminology. Don't get confused. It is the same. Make sure on account payment, open account or unapplied payment representing payment is processed but invoice is not selected. I am giving you the payment, but I'm not telling why I am giving you the payment, because the moment you receive the payment, you do not know why you received the payment. Later on, I will say that okay, this payment is for this, and you please apply my payment to this. That is where you have something called cash apps or cash applications in different BPOs, or in the backend procedures you have cash applications, especially to identify the receipt and apply against the respective invoices. Okay, in short, this is about your vendor payment. In the next class, what we will do is we will try to understand bank payments. In the tomorrow's session, we will try to understand bank payments. While understanding bank payment, we will try to understand house bank. This is something which we are going to discuss tomorrow. Once we understand what is bank payment, how house bank is created, how bank payment is created, that is when we can practically discuss about different vendor payment scenarios. Okay, fine then. So let me stop this here. Any questions on this, I'll take in the next session. Go through this and then try to practice cash payment, opening balance and cash expense, and make sure you're able to verify the cash balances and GL balances. You're able to verify the vendor account balance, open account payment is updated. You're able to process vendor manual clearing.
Sir,
Okay, so we'll connect at the same time tomorrow.
cash journal number range, is it